Hello everyone, it's me, NBZ. It's been a little while since I've done any on-camera stuff, but I thought, I have a feeling right now, like, I don't know what I'm doing with my YouTube channel, and I was thinking, what do I like to do generally? And I like to do generally is talk about video game and industry stuff, and I had intended for a long time to, like, do a bunch of that stuff on camera, and then I didn't. I was doing this Fire Emblem LP for ages, and obviously I was doing the podcast, and the podcast is now in its own place. It's a different place. New channel, This is Nintendo Life. If you go youtube.com/This is Nintendo Life, you'll find the podcast, which is generally going to be me and Bali stuff. So anything that we do together is going to be over there. But I thought I should have an avenue for me just doing maybe opinion things off the top of my head, things like that on camera, which could be fun, and delve into some topics. I don't know, like, I read NeoGAF every day, I read Twitter all the time, I am always having opinions on the news, the game news, what's happening in the industry. I thought maybe I'll just rap about some shit from time to time, because then it gives some variety, some spice to the channel. It's not just every month I put out a Fire Emblem episode, because it takes forever for me to get around to doing that, which hopefully I'll get another one up soon. Don't worry about that. Also, I need to get back to streaming, doing Path of Radiance, not that, Radiant Dawn. I should just start Radiant Dawn at some point. But yeah, I thought let's go, let's see how this does. And I'm going to talk about Nintendo NX, because we are in a place right now where people are losing their fucking minds. People are going literally insane about NX, lack of NX news. And this period is interesting because we've had confirmation from a few different sources saying that October is the time when we'll know more. Now, I can pretty much guarantee that we will know more in October. The reason I say that is not necessarily because I think Nintendo has a special direct or event planned, but because there is a date in October which is very important. That date is the 26th. What happens on the 26th, you might ask? Well, Nintendo has a briefing with their shareholders where they are probably going to talk about earnings and things and their plans moving forward. And I feel like Nintendo cannot in good conscience go to that investor briefing and not talk about NX. Obviously, they've consistently said in directs, like, we're not talking about NX here, we're not doing this. Like, to the fans, they can very much do that, because from their perspective, selling this console is more than just targeting their own audience. It's about broadening and hitting a bigger one. And also, I'm sorry for sniffling, I'm ill right now, so that's a thing. But with shareholders, there is a monetary vested interest that they keep them happy, right? I mean, we've seen them making them more happy with things like Super Mario Run being announced, that coming out in December, that being a huge thing on iOS. It's going to obviously do well for them. Shareholders want some confidence, right, in what Nintendo are going to be putting out soon. And the NX is what's coming out next. So, they have to say something. Which means that by the 26th of October, we will probably know set-in-stone details about the NX, but it may not be glamorized. And that's the thing I think I need to get to the point of is, if Nintendo want people to get excited about NX and kind of spread messages, then they would want to go through a stage of glamorizing it, right? They would want to set up an event that happens prior to the shareholder meeting, which details all these things that they are intending to do with NX, what NX is, and get the fan base excited while also generating a lot of headlines for them and getting them kind of blogging around in the sphere of the internet and everywhere. But they could go the other route. They could just say, no, we're gonna do this cold and hard. And I do feel since the passing of Iwata, it has been a different Nintendo we've seen. Maybe it's just a transition period, right? With Kimishima taking over and them having to figure things out. But it feels like a more detached, a more removed Nintendo than we've been used to in the past few years. There's far less directs. There's much more press releases going on. You know, the NES Classic Edition was something that was just one day they announced, and there wasn't much pomp and circumstance to it, right? It just kind of happened, and we accepted it. And that is a possibility, right? Is the possibility that they go in, they have this investor meeting, and they just basically lay out the cold hard facts of NX, which is fine, but it doesn't really excite the people like you and me, right? We want the pomp and circumstance. We want them to go out there and go all guns blazing and say, oh, look at this. This is what it looks like. Here's the packaging. Here's an unboxing with Iwata holding gloves, which was amazing for Wii U, but obviously, like, they need to do something that entices us and gets us excited. If there's the one they want to go for. But again, like, you step back, and you have to step back because we're all caught up in this bubble, right? We are the enthusiast. We are the hardcore gamer. We are the people who pay attention, who read forums every day, who are on Twitter, who are talking about this stuff constantly. And within this bubble, we get very obsessed that, like, okay, we are the people who matter. We're the only people they need to speak to. But they need to speak to more people, right? They need to address a wider audience. They need to hit this more casual market. They need to just get people more into their ecosystem. And it seems to have been proven recently, I think the most prominent example is with Fallout 4 of not releasing information too early. Because it seems like it starts to burn people, right? Like, you look at things like Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian, these two projects that have been in development for fucking years, and the word of mouth surrounding those and people talking about them, they're excited, but also there's this trepidation, there's this worry, there are these issues that people seem to have. And I think over time, you build up these issues, and you start to maybe feel more negative about stuff than you would otherwise. And I think with NX, that's certainly a danger, is that if it starts to be announced and we get details and people start to drill into it and start thinking, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about what this is going to do or how well it's going to work, over a longer period of time, like say 2 years with the Wii U cycle from announcement to release, people are going to start to lose faith, I think, and you're going to have a situation where people are getting to the launch period and they're not really wanting to jump on board. If you catch a hype cycle early, and of course there's the dangers of hype, of course, but Nintendo want to capitalize on it because they're a company and they want to sell product. If they want to do that, doing a short span between announcement and release is a very easy way to catch people with a split-second decision. Now, I'm not saying that they necessarily need to go out there and do a it's out today type thing, because that's also insane. You don't have the ability to prep retailers, you don't have the ability to get your marketing materials out there to the wider world. You could argue that with Nintendo, they're such a big name and such a big company that word of mouth would, perpetrate regardless. But it's still a risk, right? It's still something that you don't necessarily want to go out there and take a punt on. So could it be a thing where they blow it out early next year? Potentially. But, again, we will know something. There's going to be news in October because they have to address their shareholders. If they don't do that, then they are going to get kicked in the balls when it comes to, their price, their stock price going down, probably. So I think that this next week's going to be interesting regardless, because there's rumors floating around from certain people that there's going to be an announcement of some kind or some date for a reveal of some kind. I wouldn't be too shocked. At this point, I'm pretty much ruling out the idea of a live stage thing, just because you'd have to press for that much earlier. You'd have to get people invitations sent out. I would say it's probably going to be direct. Is it this week? Is it not? Who knows? Like it's so up in the air that Nintendo have been so fleeting recently that it's very difficult to kind of pin them down. But this is the last week. This is the last time that they have the opportunity before that shareholders meeting to actually say something of significance about NX and to prep the world for it. And if they don't, if we just get cold hard facts, fine. We know more about NX than we did before, and maybe then they just wait until the new year to actually do a proper reveal, proper announcement, because even us knowing these base details from a shareholders meeting, that information is not going to propagate to the wider world, right? Like, it stays on the game blogs, it stays on the websites, like Kotaku will report on it, IGN will write about it, YouTubers will obviously discuss it, but the mainstream mass audience are not going to know anything about NX. None of them know it exists right now anyway, right? Like, we know because we're part of this world. They don't. So Nintendo essentially don't lose anything from not doing a reveal this early. And I think that's the thing we need to emphasize most, is they're not really losing anything. They're losing us in terms of patience, But as soon as they announce it, every single one of us is going to watch, right? Everyone's going to be on board. As soon as they say NX, we jump. So, are they losing anything? I don't think so. And I think we need to maybe take a broader perspective than what we currently have. So anyway, I don't know. That's me rambling off the top of my head. But NX for 10 minutes, apparently. So if you liked it, let me know. I'll keep doing this. I like just kind of talking at camera about video games. Let's do some more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.